Hi, my name's Edwin Love. I'm one of the co-founders and directors of the Kernow Library of Things. We're here in the Old Gentleman's Hut in Penryn, our first Library of Things. KLOTH is the Kernow Library of Things. Library of Things works a lot like a normal library, a normal lending library, but instead of books, we lend things. And the things can be all sorts of things. Generally, they're things that people don't want to have in their own homes for various reasons. It could be they cost too much, it could be they take up too much space, or it could just be that they don't use them very often, or they want to share them with the community. So the idea is that instead of people owning their own things, we own them as a community resource, and everyone gets to use them. So the idea came back in 2017. I was working up at Crowdfunder in Quay, and a project came through from Plymouth. They're called Borrow Don't Buy. They were raising funds to set up their library there, and I thought, wow, this is a brilliant idea. We need one of those in Falmouth and Penryn. So I kind of put the word out on Facebook and other social media, and it took a while, a year or two, to find enough people, because I knew I couldn't do it by myself. I have plenty of other commitments. I have a job. I have a family. I knew it was a lot of work. So eventually, I found a core team, and we kind of assembled in late 2019. And started to put the wheels in motion to open up. There are a number. I mean, it's very much a growing movement. It's an idea of its time, a library of things, and there are a lot of libraries of things, both existing and new in the UK and abroad. And there's quite a bit. I find they're very supportive. So I've had lots of help and advice from various libraries around the place. We started looking around at how it could work, how it could operate. One of the biggest challenges was finding where to operate from. Back in late 2019, one of the local councillors told us about this place, the Gentleman's Hut. It's a council building. Apparently, it was built, I'm not sure exactly when, many years ago, by the landlord of the Seven Stars up in Penryn, for the old boys of Penryn to have somewhere to hang around in. And it's been used for all sorts of purposes. The last people to use it were the Dracena Centre, using it for youth work. But it's been sat here empty for a couple of years. And so it took a while. I mean, councils move slowly, especially during a pandemic. So we finally got the keys in July. And so, yeah, once that obstacle was over, it was just kind of a matter of getting some stock. And pretty much everything we have up to this point has been donated by the local community. A library of things is very much about sharing resources. And in these current times of ecological breakdown and climate emergency, we need to be thinking carefully about resources and what we own, what we have, and what happens to everything. And we believe that a library is a good solution to that. Rather than everyone owning lots of things that they don't use very often, why not have things owned as a community resource and shared amongst everybody? There's a statistic that's often bandied around that the average drill is used for something like 45 minutes in its entire lifetime. And there's all things like that people buy and then just leave in their cupboards. And it's a real waste of resources. And also these things are often, like if you go to the drill example, if you're buying a drill because you're using it a couple of times, you tend to buy something that's a bit cheap and rubbish and won't last very long and won't necessarily do the job very well. Whereas if we all kind of have a collective resource, we can have something much better that does the job better and will last longer. And it's very much moving away from the disposable culture that I feel is a big part of many of the problems we have in the world today. I think we've had nothing but good response. People love the idea. I mean, it was my response when I first heard about the library in Plymouth. It was like, it just makes sense. And I think everyone is really supportive. People think it's a great idea for the community, and people really want to get behind us and help us. There's a lot of warmth and love around the idea, and I think things like this community resources, I think, are so important. We live in such an atomised society. People are they're the high street is dying. The reasons for people to meet as a community are going. So anything we can do to kind of bring people back together locally, I think is really important. And we've got big ambitions. We were very deliberate in the choice of the name. It's Kernow Library of Things, not Falmouth and Penryn Library of Things, which it almost was. We have a kind of vision of a Cornwall-wide organisation with many libraries in many communities. Each library would be run by its community. We'd want it to be, situated within its community. Each one would be different, but there would be a lot of sharing of resources, sharing of organisation, administration, legal stuff, costs, insurance, software, things like that. And we'd really love to have a mobile library, some kind of bus or van to enable us to go to reach people in smaller communities where it doesn't make sense to have a library of their own. But yeah, we want to reach out to everyone and get involved and get people doing things. We don't want to exclude people who don't drive. We want to be able to get to people. I mean, one of the things we're hoping to get is an electric cargo bike, so that we can deliver to people in a low impact, relatively carbon neutral way, and encourage people not to be driving. We don't want just to be there for people who have cars. There are a lot of people who don't have cars and want to come and borrow something big and heavy. And so it's all about empowering and being there for everyone. There's quite an inclusive movement. I've had some Zoom chats with people all over the world, and some of them, I mean, there's libraries been running in North America, Canada, 10, 20 years, and they're running very, very well, and they're in a position to employ people, which is something that I'd love for us to be able to do, but I think that's a long way away for us. But yeah, it's an idea that works. It's proven. It does. It's obviously you have to look carefully at how you manage things, how you tweak your business model. But yeah, I think it does work, and obviously every situation is different. I mean, a lot of the libraries in this country are in cities. There's a very successful one in South London, who are kind of opening branches all over London now, and Plymouth and cities. But there's one in Totnes, there's one in Frome. So there are some in smaller, more rural places, perhaps not as small and rural as here, but hopefully we can pioneer the model for somewhere like here. We first opened in September when things were relatively relaxed. We even managed to have a little kind of opening do here. The mayor of Penryn came along and cut the ribbon, and we Dacadum, the local summer band, played out on the lawn. And yeah, that was a really nice event, a good way to kick things off. So we ran like that for a while. Then when the second lockdown came along, we shut. And that was around the time we were kind of putting all our efforts into running a crowdfunder. So we had a very successful crowdfunder. We raised £8,000, which will enable us to buy all sorts of fantastic stuff. And we just had this money, and we were just kind of just about to reopen after Christmas when the latest lockdown came along, which kind of knocked the wind out of our sails a bit. Made things, yeah, I think it found it a bit demoralising, but we've kind of recovered from that, and are getting ready to open a week Monday. Still more to do. I mean, the biggest thing has been the software that we use to run the library. There are basically two systems out there, and we were operating with one, and I decided the other one was better. So I'm in the process of switching between them and having to move users across, move stock across. And we're getting, as we're buying more stock, and we're having to list all that and get to know the new system. But we're getting there. And I mean, I don't expect on our first week to have 50 people coming to use it. So we've got time to kind of to grow slowly, but hopefully we'll start to grow a lot more, and we'll be ready for that. So, but yeah, we're ready, but there's still a lot to do. So we'll be reopening on the 1st of March. We can't just allow people to drop in on the hut. You have to arrange visits in advance through the website. But please start engaging. Please register. Please look through our constantly growing catalogue of stuff. Engage with us through Facebook, through email. Just become part of our community, become part of the library, and help us to grow and become a fantastic community resource.